Ubuntu. Herein stated are the Chronicles of Ubuntu, as told first by Sir Benjamin Bergman of Gainesville, on this 4th year of the existence of the Dukedom of Ubuntu, and the 6th year in the reign of His Majesty King Dick the First. We do hereby dedicate this chronicle to the people of Ubuntu, both present and future. Our tale begins in the sweet, hot summer nights of 2007, when 11 men and women were cast off by their parents and sent to live in dear old Randolph, a manor on the eastern island, site of the original capital of this great dukedom. Joined together by fate, these 11 would form the core of the great dukedom we would come to know. Feeling the days fall away and the moons grow closer to separation in the months of summer, 4 intrepid men of Randolph banded together with a glorious plan. A plan to ensure that the bonds forged would not fall away with the passage of time. A plan to form a great dukedom that would stand the test of time. They would call this great union Ubuntu. These 4 knights, Sir Eddie of Brunswick, Sir Benjamin of Plano, Sir Ryan of Westchester of Ohio, and Sir Alexander of Grayslake, swore an eternal oath that they would not abandon their quest until they had succeeded in gaining the king's blessing to form their new dukedom. A dukedom they would hold until they left this land, upon which they would pass their holdings on to their hand-chosen successors. At the beginning of their quest, these men knew not how to gain the ear of the men at court. They considered many ways to gain access to the king's deputies. Finally, the 4 gained an audience with the king's trusted lieutenant, Sir Stephen, 1st Earl of Newickie. With him, Sir Stephen listened intently as the 4 argued their case. Upon conclusion of their testimony, Sir Stephen arranged an audience with the king's keeper of the keys, Lord Larry, Earl of Flowers. The 4 knights drafted a great treatise in which they drew out their vision for the dukedom and argued the merits of its creation for the general kingdom. The 4 met with Lord Larry, the keeper of the keys, and requested that the dukedom be situated on the great Western Island. Lord Larry found himself to be very impressed with the work of the 4 knights, but when it came to their request that they be granted holdings with all the privileges thereunto on the great Western Island, Lord Larry declared, "By the grace of God, it cannot be done." The knights were dejected. They had failed. Their quest was for naught. Lord Larry, seeing the sadness in their eyes, leaned to them and said, "But gentlemen, despair not, for I have not forsaken your ambition. What would you say to be the first, under King Dick the First, to hold the title to a dukedom in the great untapped central expanse?" The 4 knights protested. They exclaimed, "We would rather remain titleless than be forced to plant our flag in the wasteland separating the 2 great islands of this kingdom." They continued, "Dear Lord Larry, keeper of the keys," one brave knight exclaimed, "we do not desire the best pastures or vineyards or meadows or lakes of the Western Island. We desire merely a place to call our own." "There are many places on the great Western Island fitting for such a thing." Sir Eddie asked, "What would you say of placing us in the desolate valley of Edens or the forsaken heights of Crowle?" Lord Larry, keeper of the keys, said, "Dear knights, I have already stated that it cannot be done. Placing another dukedom on the Western Island would cause great strife and unrest in the kingdom of our dear sovereign, King Dick the First. His Majesty's Parliament, both the Common Council and the Lords, have decreed that no dukedom shall be established on the Western Island. It must be so. The knights protested, but they knew that their dreams of a dukedom on the Western Island were dashed that sad day. But even in their deepest despair, hope was not lost. Their quest was not dashed, and the knights forged ahead. After a night of much thought, the knights returned to Lord Larry with a declaration accepting his offer in the Central Expanse. But in their declaration, they presented Lord Larry with a series of historic and bold demands. This declaration, known hereforward as the Second Magna Carta, included these demands: a common space to be used for banquets, weddings, and other occasions, and to observe sport and other occasions. Funds for improvement to said common space, including knocking down a great wall. A television, so that members of the dukedom might benefit of the rich pleasures of the broader world beyond the kingdom. Additional funding they requested for the knights to live graciously and to provide a charitable and good life for their serfs. At the hearing of this proposal, Lord Larry declared, "Brave knights, one day men and women will chronicle this tale. They will sing songs to your glory and revel in your bravery." But Lord Larry said that of the laws and procedures of this land, particularly those bureaucrats of His Majesty's housing authority, the dukedom will be granted, but the lands would not be transferred for 1 year. Until that date, the knights were forced to live a year of wandering on the Western Island. It was a testing year, a year in which the men were brought closer together as they sojourned. They were forced to live in cramped quarters, more fitting for prisoners facing the gallows than for brave knights about to hold a great dukedom. They were forced to share the latrine with the lowest of serfs, to clean themselves in the company of other men with little privacy. They were forbade use of cooking materials, and forced to subsist on what scraps of food they could obtain from the army mess hall. After 1 year, they were badly nourished, in desperate need of a real home. But this year was not without its triumph. In an attempt to live like knights, the men recruited to their cause 6 brave men and women. In the spring of that year, in preparation for the colonization of the Central Expanse, the members of Ubuntu, still a landless dukedom, sent out town criers throughout the Western Island and Eastern Ireland to recruit men and women of great ambition and good heart to join the dukedom and be members of the first settlement. It was difficult to recruit men and women brave enough to undertake the unprecedented expedition to settle the uncharted Central Expanse. In the end, 10 declared their willingness to join this brave experiment. In the 3rd year of the dukedom, ground was struck on the settlement in the Central Expanse. The initial settlement included a village adjacent to the Grand Alexander River and a small hamlet near the Pace Stream, separated from the village of Alexander by a small valley. Times were tough in that initial year. Food was scarce. The natives seemed dangerous. A group of wayward knights, endeavoring to share their love for each other and the organic bounties of this earth, took control of a fort nearest the Alexander settlement. But peace was maintained, and conflict was avoided. Endeavoring to ensure their holdings were protected, and that all who entered would know that they were passing through the land of Ubuntu, the Grand Council of Ubuntu, chaired in this year by Sir Ryan of Westchester, resolved to construct a great fortification where men and women of Ubuntu could sit and watch their domain. and awe the natives with the glory of their superior craftsmanship. And truth be told, that this fortification can be seen even from space. The settlers quickly found their new land was a land filled with milk and honey, a bountiful land, a land of promise, a land destined to be theirs. After enjoying the pleasures of their new home, the settlers resolved to expand it with other like-minded men and women, individuals who would respect the call of Ubuntu, the call to give of oneself to the world. It was a cold winter, but they were warmed by hope. For in that bitter winter, they saw much to be thankful for, as hundreds of men and women came to survey the great settlement of Ubuntu. All were impressed, and many sought to join as the second wave of settlers in the dukedom of Ubuntu. Lavish festivals were thrown, filled with much drink and revelry, drawing the young men and women from the eastern as well as the western island in greater numbers than ever previously recorded in the history of this great land. They came curious, they left in wonder. At the winter's conclusion, in a glorious ceremony presided over by Sir Ryan, new settlers were welcomed into the fold, and new leadership was conferred upon Ubuntu's second Grand Council, to be led by Sir Lewis. With the new settlers welcomed in the fold, but not yet eligible to settle in this land, a grand festival was held in honor of our gracious sovereign's birthday. But a great storm prevented His Royal Highness, King Dick I, from attending this auspicious ceremony. But Ubuntu did not go unrecognized in this great land. Sir Ryan was called upon to accept a commendation from Lord Larry, Keeper of the King's Keys, for services to the King, and for demonstrating to all the people of this great land that the Central Expanse was a land of plenty, dispelling the many myths that had previously existed. But the honors did not end there. Sir Alexander and Sir Ryan were called upon once again, this time to appear before the King's Privy Council to testify to the progress of the great settlement of Ubuntu. In this, the 4th year of Ubuntu, the community has grown. The hamlet by the Pace stream was abandoned in favor of a greener pasture near the fortification. The winter trials in which all settlements in this kingdom compete with each other for new blood was a grave time for the people of Ubuntu. Hundreds traveled to the Central Expanse to prove their merit and demonstrate their worth. Few survived the Winter Games, but those that did, those great and brave heroes and heroines, stand ready to take their place in the new dukedom. As spring dawns, a new Grand Council of Ubuntu has been assembled, led by Sir Ming. Ubuntu now prepares to lose its founding generation, but, flush with a new crop of settlers, the dukedom of Ubuntu stands on the precipice of a great moment in history. A history yet to be told.